I was just on Instagram, and one of my favorite metal singers posted something, and he has like a tattoo like right here. And I'm not saying I'm gonna get one, but like I'd think about it.
It worked. It worked.
I think it would work. Welcome to the Pump Fake, everybody. Jarrett Bailey with you as always, previewing the AFC South today with my good friend from SB Nation, JP Acosta. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's kind of snuck up on me how quickly football has come around the corner.
Mm.
It's like, oh man, like now we're starting to get into previews and rankings and things of that nature. So it's like, man, we're really about to get back into the next football season, one that shows a lot of promise.
I feel like the last 2 to 3 off seasons for me have just all flown. Where you know the NFL has this thing so well planned out and everything, where each off season has like its own little, or each portion of the off season is like its own mini season in itself. Free agency, and then the draft, and then mini camp OTA portion, and then now we're just kind of in that month-long wait until training camp where things are officially back. I think it's like 35 days until the Hall of Fame game. So like it's almost here, man. We're getting close.
My goodness. My goodness. There goes my vacation. It feels weird because this off season has felt kind of slow, but super fast at the same time. I think it's because like last year we had the Aaron Rodgers saga, and that kind of took up most of our content and most of our time. This year we don't really have anything like that. We don't have a big name player moving somewhere or saying anything. I'm not saying that I want Aaron Rodgers back on podcasts. I'm not saying that at all. Don't get it twisted. But
He
what I
was
am saying,
he was just on one like a week ago talking about the government.
perfect.
He was on Tucker Carlson.
That feels like par for the course for Mr. Rodgers.
Yeah,
But we need a budding rivalry. We need something to start up. We need somebody to start talking some shit so we can get hyped.
that's a good shout. Yeah, I can get on board with a good shit talking. We'll start in the AFC South with your Jacksonville Jaguars, though. They just paid Trevor Lawrence, rightfully so. I did a piece on USA Today about like this whole weird Trevor Lawrence dialogue, and I don't like the landscape that we live in, where a lot of fans are like, either all right, you're either the greatest thing we've ever seen, or you suck. Like, Trevor Lawrence is awesome and has very much earned the money that Jacksonville gave him. I was pretty surprised that they got ahead of the curve and were like, okay, we see a lot of dudes that are going to be paid. Jared Goff just got paid. Let's just get ahead of this thing. And rather than be held to market price, let's just make our own market and kind of, set the price for other teams rather than them have it do it for us. So I was really impressed with them for that. They also get the Josh Allen deal done. Their two biggest priorities this offseason were those two things, and they get both deals done. What are your overall thoughts on the Lawrence deal, on the Jaguars as a whole right now going into 2024?
So this offseason for the Jaguars started off pretty auspiciously with the whole Ridley thing falling through and just the entire process around like Trent Baalke and what is he doing, what isn't he doing. But I think the Jaguars are in a really good spot going into 2024. I think the moves that they have made dictate what they're going to be. And I think that's the biggest thing that you want for an NFL franchise in offseason. You can tell what the Jaguars want to be offensively and defensively with the moves that they have made, with the things that they have done in the offseason. The Jaguars are investing in Trevor Lawrence and that ability to throw the ball downfield. That's why you go get two guys who are really good at catching passes downfield in Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr., and you allow Christian Kirk to kind of work in between areas. You also could tell they thought their center sucked last year because that was the only spot that they replaced on the offensive line.
Yep.
So they are chalking up all the offensive problems last year to injuries to Trevor Lawrence and Luke Fortner not being good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what the offense looks like. Defensively, I think this unit's going to kick so much butt. If they can get a consistent second corner next to Tyson Campbell, then I think this defense is going to be really good. I think Devin Lloyd is coming Jaguars reporters have said Devin Lloyd has been the winner of the offseason workout programs. He looks like a completely new player. I'm excited for this Jaguars team because it feels like in the most important season in possibly Jaguars history, they are treating it like the most important season in Jaguars history with locking up their cornerstones for this franchise in the good Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence. Those are your two leaders. Those are your two core guys. And you build the boat around those two guys. And then you kind of expand everything upon that. And like I said, this is a crucial season for the Jaguars, especially where they are at. And I think they're going to be pretty good. My offseason bold prediction was that the AFC South gets 3 teams in the playoffs this year, and it genuinely looks like it could happen. And it could be any of the 4 teams.
Yeah, and you talked about the defense. I think hiring Ryan Nielsen is a big part of that. A lot of guys have talked about is, the attention to detail and things of that nature. So I think that's one of the hires of the offseason in terms of coaching changes for any side of the ball. And yeah, like you look at all these numbers with Lawrence of, if you look at it from a base value, it's like, okay, he was fine last year, but you look at, the drop rate was out of this through the roof. They upgraded receiver with getting, Thomas and Gabe Davis, as you mentioned, the kind of like the let it fly guys while Christian Kirk can eat underneath. I'm excited to see what the offense looks like. For you, though, I mean, we've seen Doug Peterson we saw how it ended in Philadelphia. What is Doug Peterson? What is Press Taylor? What is all of this? I mean, is there cause for concern from you, a Jaguars fan, in terms of, the play callers and runners of the offense?
I think the only cause of concern is Press Taylor's situational play calling. It's much less the actual design of the offense and more, why are we running trick plays on 3rd and 2? Or why is this happening in this situation? I think last year he was kind of hamstrung by the offensive line being bad. And let me tell you, if you can't block, your offensive game plan completely changes. It is the most important thing in sports. If you cannot protect the skill position players, you're not going to win a lot of games. It's just not going to happen. So I wonder how much leeway they're going to give Press, considering that they're going to blame last year's struggles in the second half on injuries and offensive line being bad. But I think with Doug Peterson still around, I think the structure of the offense is going to remain the same. But they are going to they're genuinely going to take a whole lot more shots downfield because they were really good at it. I think the Trevor Lawrence thing is I've kind of stayed out of it because I'm not going to war. I'm not fighting this war with people.
Oh, that's okay. I will. I've got nothing better to do with my time. It's that meme where it's like, well, time to. It's like pulling down the Spider-Man mask. And he's like, well, time to argue with strangers on the internet about Trevor Lawrence all day. I did that for like a solid 2 days, and it was, I tell you, it was a lot.
I'm not fighting wars with people who don't know ball about Trevor Lawrence. He is one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football. I think he has been asked to do so much for this Jaguars team that the offense had zero margin for error with Trevor. If he messes up, the offense goes to shit. If there's something that goes even a little bit wrong, the offense just completely falls apart. And that's what you saw in the back half of last year. And even when they were winning, if there was a negative play, the negative plays turned into catastrophic plays because there was no margin for error. And I think that has to do with the offensive line being poor. But this year, we're going to see Trevor Lawrence throw the ball a lot further downfield. I think he is going to play much better now that he's fully healthy. And again, he's really good. If you watch the games, he is so good in the minutia of the offense. But also he kind of he's a little bit like if Justin Herbert was reckless. Like he's a little more willing to kind of attack downfield. He's a little crazier with the ball, but that's kind of the give and take. You have to play with quarterbacks. So I think he's really good. And I think the NFL is going to see that he is, again, a very good quarterback this year.
I agree. And I'm looking forward to Trevor shutting a lot of people up. And I think it's going to be a good year for the Jaguars where it's a bounce back. Because you look at Trevor threw 14 picks last year. 7 of them came in the final month of the year. 3 of them came in one game against Cleveland when he's dealing with the ankle. I think he had a hip and a shoulder. Like, it was a bunch of different stuff that he was dealing with because you mentioned the offensive line was bad. He was constantly getting beat to hell. So excited to see what 2024 brings for the Jaguars. Brian Tom is going to ball out as long as Lawrence improves and stays healthy. We certainly hope so on that front. To the Houston Texans, who are the defending champions of the division, CJ Stroud having a remarkable rookie year. They bring in Stephon Diggs to complement Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Nico Collins, who they gave a nice lofty deal to during the offseason. I mean, that's the biggest story around them is, okay, yeah, we now have a nice receiving trio where, Diggs can kind of be 1A or 1B with Collins, and then Tank Dell in there as well. Very excited to see what this offense looks like in year 2 of CJ Stroud. Very excited to see how far they can go and what they can build upon from year 1 to year 2 under DeMeco and Stroud as well.
So with the Texans offense, I think people look too hard into the trade for Stephon Diggs as a sign of them being a bit more pass heavy. I don't think that's going to change. I really don't. I think they're going to be genuinely more run first because you have to look at what Bobby Slowick wants to do. He wants to get into bigger personnel. He wants to have the fullback on the field.
Yeah, he's a Shanahan descendant. Like, those things are going to translate.
He wants to have those bigger guys on the field so they can pass out of those. And you gotta run the ball out of those to even have that sort of threat, because of how many light boxes teams play. Mm-hmm. They're going to run the ball a lot.
For that reason.
What Stephon Diggs is going to do is Stephon Diggs is it's 3rd and 5 and they're playing man coverage. That's the receiver you go to, because the Texans, as good as Nico Collins and as good as Tank Dell was before injury, they did not have that. And you could tell when it got later into the season, especially the Ravens game, the Ravens just dropped everybody in coverage and told CJ to throw it to somebody. Find somebody who's going to get open, and nobody was open. So now I think adding Stephon Diggs is going to give them that easy option, that easy offense underneath, while Collins and Tank Dell do more of the explosive stuff downfield. It allows Stephon Diggs to kind of age gracefully into what he has become, which is a wide receiver 1B. He is entering his Adam Thielen when Stephon Diggs was good in Minnesota. He is now becoming Adam Thielen, which is perfectly fine. That's a great thing for a player to be, because Adam Thielen was really good at his job, So I think if they can be better at running the ball, it's going to help open up the offense a lot more. And I think now they have a running back who kind of fits that offense in Joe Mixon. It's not going to be a Joe Mixon 20 carries a game thing. It's not. He's not going to get the lion's share. They just need somebody who can run wide zone, and you could tell that nobody respected their run game, and the Texans didn't feel comfortable with the guys they had in the run game. Dameon Pierce did not play at all because he's not a great fit for that offense. Devin Singletary was fine, but he is not a wide zone runner. So having Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon kind of fit the offense a little better. But the Texans defense, man, is going to be really, really good.
They had a good draft on the defensive side of the ball.
Not only that, but you go and sign Danielle Hunter. I think having Azeez Al-Shaair playing Mike allows Christian Harris to kind of – I made the joke last year during the playoffs that DeMeco Ryans is Madden usering Christian Harris. So now you allow Christian Harris to be kind of the run and chase guy. You allow him to essentially become Dre Greenlaw, because Azeez Al-Shaair will play the mic and he'll have the green dot. I think Jalen Petre is a really fun player. I think Derek Stingley Jr. is going to have a breakout season. I think he was really good last year, especially after.
Is he the most underrated young corner in the NFL? I think that, being in the same class with Sauce kind of really, put a shadow over him.
I think so, but even entering that draft, there were legit conversations about Sauce or Stingley at corner 1, and he got dealt a bad hand with injuries. But now that he's healthy, he is such a great fit for that defense. Kamari Lassiter is going to do amazing in the defense. I think this Texans defense is going to be really, really good this upcoming year. And they're extremely young, too, and they have cornerstones.
To the Indianapolis Colts, where your boy Anthony Richardson, who everybody's very excited about. We only got to see him for a month last year before injuries ended his season prematurely. But the Colts, well, first and foremost, Shane Steichen showed everybody that, yeah, I'm your dude. Follow me and I'll get you where you need to go. Coming within a throw of winning the division with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. I like a lot of the things that they have in place. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, very good. They draft A.D. Mitchell to complement Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce in the passing game. If Richardson even sniffs what his ceiling is, I mean, this is going to be a very fun offense. This is also a defense that has a lot of young pieces in place that they brought in last year, and guys, Juju Brents. But overall, they have a really good balance of talented vets and rising stars that are going to make them one of the more compelling teams in the NFL this year. Like I said, if Richardson is even close to what his overall ceiling is just as a physical specimen, this is going to be a very fun team to watch this year.
I am so fascinated by what the Colts are going to be this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because you can make an argument that they're extremely underrated. DeForest Buckner is phenomenal. Just an outstanding defensive tackle. We are in such a golden age of interior defensive line play that DeForest Buckner has become underrated.
Yeah.
That's how good of a player he is. Grover Stewart, keeping him around is awesome. Just an ass kicker in the run game. And drafting Laiatu Latu was really interesting to me because he is a different style of pass rusher than they have asked for on the edge. A lot of their edge guys are big, powerful. You think of Kwity Paye, who wins with speed to power, being heavier and being more hand in the dirt guys. Latu is not that. Laiatu Latu is more of a finesse player. He's going to win with technique, speed, burst. But this is something that signals that Gus Bradley, who I have given so much flack in the past few years, Gus Bradley will never change. Gus Bradley's going to live and die by Seattle cover 3. He coached a hell of a defense last year. That defense was tough, defense was physical, and they just needed some more help in the secondary. I think their secondary is still young, but the hope is that they improve, especially with keeping Kenny Moore around. But the offense, man, it's got potential to be fireworks. I think if the offensive line can stay healthy and if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, man, the job Shane Steichen did without Richardson and the job he did with Richardson, even when I was going back and watching him play through the games that he was healthy, I think he was a lot further along processing-wise than a lot of people let on. And Anthony Richardson did not have like baby's first NFL offense. He was running some legit stuff. I think the footwork stuff is still coming along a little bit, but you get that by playing and you see all the talent. I think the Rams game last year was a perfect.
Just about to point that out.
Him going blow for blow and Matt Stafford throwing 50-yard piss missiles down the field like that. That is what you envision with Anthony Richardson. And then on top of that, being the best athlete on the field in terms of in the run game, and Shane Steichen's ability to consistently use misdirection in their run game because there's so many different threats with the ball in their hands. You have Jonathan Taylor, who came back and was immediately very good. Anthony Gold, who they drafted from Oregon State, is going to be a really fun gadget option, going to kind of replace Isaiah McKenzie in that role. And you don't have to have Josh Downs running the jet sweep stuff. And I think Josh Downs is great, but that's not his game. Now you can have Anthony Gold running that. Josh Downs will be kind of the short to intermediate guy. Pittman's their receiver one, who I think is also incredibly underrated. And Alec Pierce and A.D. Mitchell is really interesting because how do you rotate them in and out? Because they kind of do the similar stuff. But I think Mitchell's a little faster and can separate better. So how they rotate those guys in a young and talented receiver room is going to be super fun to watch. I think Shane Steichen is up and coming as one of the best play callers in the league. And what I love about Shane Steichen is that when he finds a weakness, He's going to continue to hammer that weakness until you change it, until you fix it. There are multiple examples of the Colts running the same thing over and over and over in a game.
Oh, bro, I'm a Steelers fan. Go back and watch the Steelers game where they literally the
spit
entire
so
of the fourth quarter is
Steelers-
like, we're just going to keep running at the middle of your defense, stop us, and they couldn't.
They couldn't stop him. You think about Shane Steichen's time with the Eagles. What the Eagles did so well under Steichen was they hammered every single weakness that you had. It did not matter how they dressed it, how it looked pre-snap. They were going to run that same thing, and it was up to you to stop it. So now you have a dynamic running threat in Richardson, a better quarterback in Richardson than what they had to finish last year. This team is going to be really good. I think they're one of the more trendy picks to be the team that missed the playoffs that makes it this year. I think they're a trendy pick, and there's no reason why they can't make the playoffs this year.
I very much agree. They are one of the probably 5 teams that I'm really excited to see in terms of hey, can you take that step forward? In terms of the Titans, I don't know if they're going to be good, but I can tip my cap to them and say they're going to find out if they're going to be good pretty quickly, where they're like, okay, you know what? We'll probably overpay for Calvin Ridley to put next to DeAndre Hopkins. We'll bring in Tyler Boyd as well. We'll trade for L'Jarius Sneed. Like, we're going to do everything that we can, both sides of the ball, to put as good of a team as we can around Will Levis to figure out, hey, are you the dude or not? Because if you're not, at least we know now, rather than not having the places in peace and have that as an excuse to be like, oh, okay, well, he didn't succeed because X, Y, and Z. No, they have all of the pieces that you can have for a young quarterback. I think hiring Brian Callahan from Cincinnati to help fine-tune the intermediate stuff will be really good for Will Levis. Again, don't know if he's going to be good or not, but they're going to find out very quickly if he is.
The Titans and Will Levis kind of resemble each other, and I've always said this is Will Levis. Will Levis is have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there are these group of people called the War Boys in Fury Road. They're all bald, they're all very pale, but nothing about them makes sense. They are going to go out in a blaze of glory. They play electric guitars, they shoot flamethrowers. Sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes they get run over or speared through the heart. And that's kind of what Will Levis is as a quarterback. It's going to look really, really cool. But sometimes when it crashes and burns, it is catastrophic. I think that is something that Brian Callahan is going to have to change about Will Levis's game, or kind of get him to not be as high variance, offensively. I think that's the biggest thing for Levis. There cannot be such a high variance for him. I am curious what kind of offense Brian Callahan brings from Cincinnati. Is he bringing the Joe Burrow, everybody's an empty, I want the ball in my hands, I'm going to cook on this? Or is he bringing the 2023 Bengals, where it's more play action? You get everybody involved. It's a little less work on your quarterback. Even
the Jake Browning Bengals.
Not even only Jake Browning, but they were running that. If you remember the Bengals-Niners game from last year.
Yeah, they did a lot of more stuff under center.
The Niners to hell in that when Joe Burrow was healthy. But what kind of offense is this going to be? If Will Levis is going to be asked to do what Joe Burrow did before he got hurt, before they started doing all the play action stuff, I don't think it's going to work. That's not what Will Levis is. I think Will Levis is a capable play action passer who is not afraid to take shots downfield in the tight windows. I hate to kind of say it because I don't think it's going to be his career outlook, obviously, because I'll make this comparison based on what they are going to be, but he's very similar to the guy the Titans just had at quarterback at his physical prime, Ryan Tannehill, and his fearlessness, throwing the ball downfield, throwing it in the tight areas off of play action. So now that we have that, what do you do with guys who are much better off play action? You get them guys who can win. And Calvin Ridley is a guy who can win in those areas. DeAndre Hopkins is a guy who can win. I am curious about how Tony Pollard looks in this offense.
I'm curious about how Tony Pollard looks, period. Like, how is he going to look?
Me too. I think the Tony Pollard hype train kind of fell off the tracks last year when he had to be the lead back. Yeah. But now in a rotation with Tyjae Spears, who's pretty fun, it should look a lot better. And I think the transition to a play action-y style of offense is also going to help their left tackle, J.C. Latham, who is a dancing bear as a run blocker, as a pass blocker, but you can get him in play action kind of sets and not let him be in true pass blocking situations as much. And this offense can really cook. I think there is something there, but it depends on what Brian Callahan asks Will Levis to do. And if he's asking him to do a lot of downfield, like not downfield, asking him to do a lot of reading the defense, exclusively shotgun.
Be like an elite pre-snap guy.
Yeah, like asking him to be an elite pre-snap guy, that has never been his game.
Right.
I would also like Will Levis to stop taking so many hits and stop taking so many sacks. That has been his problem since he was at Kentucky. He gets hit a lot. He is, again, War Boys from Fury Road. He is the ECW wrestler who's always going to go through a table.
He's Spike Dudley.
Yes, he is Spike Dudley. No matter what show you are watching, Spike Dudley is going through a table. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where, you're probably going to see Spike Dudley going through a table. And I think that's where Will Levis can kind of help himself. He doesn't always have to go through his table. He can be kind of in that middle range. But the offense is going to be really intriguing to watch. I think the defense is going to kick ass. Bringing over Denard Wilson from the Jets, I think it fits their personnel so much. And then you add L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie, which is one of the most underrated corner duos in the NFL.
I think legitimately you can make the case that they are the best cornerback duo on paper right now.
Because, I love some corners who can tackle. I love some corners who are willing to come up and hit somebody in the face. And that's what L'Jarius Sneed does. Chidobe Awuzie does that. I think the pass rush is going to be fun with Jeff Simmons still around. Harold Landry will be back fully healthy. I'm really intrigued to see this Titans team and what they become. I'm a little less excited about their outlook when it comes to playoffs because you just don't know what Will Levis is going to be.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why they can't make the playoffs, which is, again, why this division is so fun, because all four teams have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs, but all four teams have a shot at completely crashing and burning. That has been the story of the AFC South. There has not been a true run on consistent teams winning year over year. I mean, that's since maybe the Texans from 2015 to 2018.
Yeah.
But even then, it was not a given. It's not a given each year who's going to win the division. So every year someone takes their turn, So in 2020, it was the Titans. 2021 was the Titans. 22 was the Jaguars. 23 was the Texans. It's the Colts' turn.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bold prediction. I think they're going to win the division, but look at that division. Look at the chaos. Every year a different team wins, and the Colts haven't won it since who? Let me go and look. The Colts have not won the division.
Got to be since 2014, maybe.
It was 2014. And I think from then it was Texans, Titans, Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of a Jacoby Brissett year, a Scott Tolzien week one starter year. Once all the injuries to Luck and then eventually the retirement, threw them in a lot of flux. So that is. We talk about the AFC North a lot being, the most competitive division in football. AFC South, man, is right there as well, where you could talk me into any of these four teams winning the division. And, we talked about Will Levis. I'm going to have to go on SIS and just see what his numbers were off of play action, deep passing, just out of curiosity, because there was a lot of that. We talked about his variance before on here. It was like, all right, it's either a piss missile or a screen. Like there was very little in between stuff with him last year. And hopefully bringing in these different weapons, bringing in Brian Callahan can kind of fine tune those weaker parts of his game. I'm excited though, man. Like this is a division that is going to be quite interesting to say the least, and at the very most can be just organized, insane chaos with three, like you said, three teams could make the playoffs in this division.
Yeah, I think even with Will Levis, it's not that he can't do it, because he showed flashes of being able to throw the ball in the intermediate areas of the field. But it's so high variance. That is the thing. He needs to cut out the variance. I think not to say that he is going to be this player, but Josh Allen needed to cut out the variance to become what Josh Allen is. Patrick Mahomes needed to cut out the variance to become the player that he is. Will Levis needs to cut out the variance by like 60%. Like if you can just get him like whittled down to this, like I said it last year, but he's very Jay Cutler-ish.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah.
You can get the good parts of Jay Cutler without the variance of Jay Cutler, then yeah, you got a great quarterback. But how much variance are you going to allow within this offense that Brian Callahan is bringing over? I think Brian Callahan, side note, bringing Bill Callahan raises the floor of the offense.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you can run anything. You can teach anyone to do anything. I think that's why they put Latham with the 7th pick, because they have Bill Callahan. I'd much rather go to Bill Callahan and learn how to play left tackle than pretty much anyone else not named Jeff Stoutland or Andy Heck in the NFL.
I wonder if Levis shows that, like, okay, he's not the guy. I wonder if we could maybe see 2025 Tennessee Titans quarterback Dak Prescott. We're gonna talk about a lot of these teams that are gonna be like in quarterback potential in the market for it. I think that's a team that, you know, if you're the Titans, I think that's a good match with Callahan and the weapons and the offense. I think that would be quite a division with Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Dak Prescott. That would be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting. I think I've already picked my Dak destination in 2025.
You might have. I can't remember where you said, but you know, I have him going to Miami.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, God in heaven.
That they are the team that would do that.
I think that they're the team that would do Tua, though. I think that's the most Raiders move ever, would be to look at just like Tua's numbers and be like, oh, he can fix us. I think Tua is more realistic for the Raiders.
Not only that, but the Raiders have shown they are willing to spend money.
Oh, for sure.
So Dak at $60 million, the Raiders might look at that and be like, all right, man, hop on. And you consider that you have these guys in Bowers and Mayer. You have Devontae Adams, who is not getting any younger. You have a defense that potentially could be ready to actually be something by the end of this upcoming season. You go, and you're in the AFC West with the buzzsaw of quarterbacks and Denver. Like you have to go and get a dude.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be, you know, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell leading this team to prominence. That goes without say.
It's incredibly funny.
So we're gonna end the show with before the show I spin a wheel of random questions and pick, you know, whatever it lands on. So the question of the day for you, JP Acosta, is: do you have any strange phobias?
Strange phobias?
I know a couple of mine. I'm kind of freaked out by birds.
That's fair. I know people who do not like birds.
Yeah, birds. I don't mess with birds.
I don't know if it's a phobia, but I don't like the deep ocean.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, deep water's horrifying.
Water is terrifying, but it's also so inviting at the same time, which makes
it's like what are those things? The sirens in the middle of the sea.
I like the ocean and I like being in the water, but anything above how tall I am, I'm out.
You ever seen those like freight ship videos where they're in like the deep sea and it's just waves crashing and dude.
See, even those, I think those are kind of cool. It's just whatever's in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like it's not the waves that scare me. It's the animals that are much bigger than me and can swim faster than me in the ocean that scare me.
You believe in Bigfoot?
My uncle does, but I'm not sure. I'm still doing my research.
My dad's a big Bigfoot guy. Like he like stereotypical watches that show, like Finding Bigfoot, I think it's called. It's a pretty generic name, and he loves that stuff. I don't know if I believe in anything like that. I was a big Loch Ness monster guy for a while.
Me too. I think a Loch Ness monster would be cool if it exists. If it's out
Mostly
there.
because I have the Scooby Doo and the Loch Ness Monster DVD in my living room right now.
What a classic!
That was one of the What's New Scooby Doo movies. That was probably the better ones of those.
Mhm.
So, yeah, big Scooby guy. JP Acosta, what do you have coming content wise for all the good people?
Yeah, so I have a pretty cool interview, hopefully dropping today with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. It's probably the best interview that I've ever done. It's just like, come on, it's Ric Flair, you know, like leader of the Four Horsemen, Ric freaking Flair. You know him, you love him, so you should read that. Outside of that, I'm going to be covering any and everything around the world of sports. The Olympics coming up, I'll be on that. The Euros are going on in soccer, which is incredibly fun. But football wise, watch what I'm doing, watch what I'm clipping. I might go back into the vault, watch some older football. And by older football, I mean like I'm probably gonna go and watch some Andrew Luck today because I feel like making
That's fun.
but we're having fun.
If you want like real nostalgia stuff from like older days, like you can go on YouTube and watch like episodes of Sports Center from like 2007. That's pretty rad.
Ooh.
So I've been doing that just to feel something recently. In terms of me, long lineage of stuff I've been doing the past few weeks. Top 32 receivers in the NFL. That's up on Touchdown Wire for USA Today. Ranking all 32 head coaches from worst to first is up as well. Doing top 20 assistant coaches very shortly, so that'll be some good stuff. We talked about Bill Callahan. He will certainly be on that list. Top 36 quarterbacks, like anything and everything that you could want over on Touchdown Wire for USA Today. From me, I did a piece on Josh Allen and why he's awesome as well. That's my pinned tweet on Twitter. So go and read all of that. And then when JP's interview with Ric Flair drops, yeah, go read that, go watch it, do everything you can for it because it sounds awesome. So very much looking forward to that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to the Pump Fake. We'll be back next week to conclude the division coverage. So NFC South next week. And then, yeah, just a couple weeks until training camp after that. And then we'll be really diving into the deep end. I will be at Steelers training camp for a very good duration of it. So a lot of on-site stuff coming as well in the next month. So appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Take care. We'll see you soon on the Pump Fake.